Caprice Coleman made his return here to the NWA arena just a few months ago, and in that time won the World Television title. Phil Shatter wasting no time going right after Caprice Coleman. This is title for title, the #1 contender to the 10 pounds of gold, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the Universal Soldier, also known as the National Heavyweight Champion. Tonight, that gold collection could go up even more as he could add that TV title around his waist, over his shoulder, on the mantle, wherever he's going to find a place to put it. And Greg Hunter, I'm going to say something right now. Phil Shatter, just over 3 years here in the sport of professional wrestling, here in Anarchy especially, has made such a splash, such an impact. Former Anarchy Heavyweight Champion, former Anarchy Tag Team Champion, current National Champion, and also just a couple of months ago was very close to becoming NWA World Champion.
Oh, just a second there, Caprice Coleman. When Shatter tried, when Coleman blocked a kick there from the Universal Soldier, I think the National Champ's ankle may be hurt here. Coleman used his own shin to block a kick.
Well, you know, it could be the ankle, it could be the calf. I mean, you know, it's so hard to tell when those boots are there. It's hard to tell, but definitely pain shooting through the leg of the #1 contender to that NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the Universal Soldier Shatter. Now, it's my understanding in this matchup that the first 15 minutes of this match, the NWA World Television title rules are in effect, that 15-minute extended time limit, as are the NWA National title rules of a 30-minute time limit. So after 15 minutes, that television title is no longer on the line.
Essentially, as this is title for title, with both the World Television and National Heavyweight Championships at stake, the match has a 30-minute time limit. That is customary to the National Championship. The World Television title's 15-minute time limit, as you said, is also in effect. So, essentially, Phil Shatter is working against a shorter clock than Caprice Coleman. Caprice Coleman has 30 minutes to win the national title, but the Universal Soldier only has 15 minutes to win the World Television title.
And, you know, and when you look at it from that point of view, from that perspective, Shatter has the most to lose in this matchup. Caprice Coleman, the World Television Champion, if he loses this, he's losing the World Television Champion. He could get a rematch very quickly. Shatter, if he loses this match, loses the national title. Caprice Coleman picks up all of his championship requirements at that point. Meaning, what we could be faced with is Caprice Coleman not only becoming national champion, but also becoming the #1 contender to the World Heavyweight title.
And granted, the Universal Soldier would garner a rematch clause, but he would be at the end of all of the current national championship challengers. So it could be a while before he gets that rematch. Right now, the Universal Soldier, bad will and all it would seem, going after Caprice Coleman here, trying to take away the leg of Coleman, instinctively using his own left leg as a weapon, and that is hurting the Universal Soldier as well. Any maneuver that impacts his leg is going to shoot pain and agony through his entire body.
And Greg Hunter, you know, I think it's only appropriate that during this matchup we mentioned, we were talking about the 10 pounds of gold in the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. I want to send out our condolences to the family of Canada's greatest athlete, Gene Kiniski, who recently passed away earlier in the week, of course, a former NWA World Champion himself.
That prestigious championship that Gene Kiniski once held with a great deal of pride, the Universal Soldier Phil Shatter is currently the #1 contender to. And the Universal Soldier, the National Heavyweight Champion, finds himself trapped. Version of the ankle lock applied here by Caprice Coleman. Coleman, who is typically a high flyer and a risk taker, and we've seen a little bit of that flash and flare thus far out of Coleman, has grounded himself somewhat in this contest, content to try to take the vertical base away from the Universal Soldier.
And Greg Hunter, you know, this is not the first time these two men have been in a one-on-one situation. Caprice Coleman, after making his return to NWA Anarchy, challenged the Universal Soldier. Lots of excitement in that match, a very close matchup, you know, if memory serves me correctly. So there is the history there, but, you know, you got to think to yourself, you know, Jeff G. Bailey being in the corner of Phil Shatter. You know, Jeff G. Bailey loves the gold. He loves the championships. Imagine the pride that would bring the NWA Elite and Phil Shatter to win that NWA World Television title here tonight.
And another thing to somewhat keep in mind here, Phil Shatter captures the title from Caprice Coleman. He will enter an echelon that has only been achieved by a couple of other people, and that is to hold the Triple Crown of NWA Anarchy as a heavyweight tag team and television champion. Either one of these men walk out of here with 2 championships tonight covered, only a 1 count, then they're going to make history in their own right, at least in my recollection, and I did some homework and didn't see it. The World Television and National titles have never been held by the same guy simultaneously.
Right, many former national champions have gone on to the World Television title, just like many World Television champions have gone on to be national champions. But never simultaneously has one man held both championships. It is a very elusive feat that could be pulled off by one of the 2 men in the ring here tonight. And imagine the momentum. You know, we talk about Caprice Coleman would pick up Phil Shatter's championship, requirements against those opponents. But imagine on the other foot with Phil Shatter going into a NWA World title matchup in the near future against the NWA World Champion Adam Pearce, with 2 championships going for a 3rd.
Well, right now, the Universal Soldier, the National Heavyweight Champion, firmly in control here. Jeff G. Bailey seems to be rather pleased with the performance of his charge thus far. And right now, the Universal Soldier trying to take away the wind of the world's television champion. Keeping it grounded, trying to keep Caprice Coleman from using that athletic background, those aerial gifts and talents that he possesses. But Caprice Coleman now back up to a vertical base, pair of elbows. And now, knife edge chop, staggers back the national champion. And now right back to the ankle goes Caprice Coleman. Coleman picking out a limb and attacking it. This is not the atypical strategy we see out of the TV champ.
Well, you always, any true athlete, any true professional is always going to try to adjust their game. They're going to try to find something to give them an advantage over their opponent. That's what we're seeing from Caprice Coleman here tonight. He is adjusting that game. He's actually fighting up to Phil Shatter's game plan.
Phil Shatter, who is typically a more methodical, a ground and pound competitor. He is finding himself on the receiving end of that same sort of assault. Caprice Coleman, with his own sizzle, so to speak, on this particular game plan, but he is exercising it extremely well. And this all started because of the moniker that is generally attached to being the television champion. We so often call the world's TV champ the best wrestler on television today. And the Universal Soldier took great exception to that. Being the national heavyweight champion, the #1 contender of the world's heavyweight title, he believes that it's an insult for Caprice Coleman to call himself that, especially when the national champion happens to be here.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but that ankle or that calf is, starting to swell on Phil Shatter. And what he just did was he unlaced his boots and folded them down, because the more that swells, the more pain, it's going to cut off the circulation. If you loosen the pressure of the boot, that's going to allow it to swell, but you won't lose the circulation, and you'll be able to move around much better.
Well, the Universal Soldier knows his anatomy. He is in tremendous physical condition. You can say the same about the world's TV champ. The point of contention here has long been the differences between these two championships, and they are many. The national champion travels all over the United States and indeed all over the world defending the National Heavyweight Championship against competitors that he may or may not have had the opportunity to scout, against individuals, in some cases, that he may or may not have ever even seen or heard their name beyond passing, seeing them on the rankings of the National Wrestling Alliance. So he is facing the unknown virtually every time he sets foot in the ring, whereas Caprice Coleman faces the very well-known and faces it twice as often. He faces people that know if he's sick, if, oh, wait a minute, sunset flip. Only two. Coleman faces people that know his physical condition, that know what he's capable of, that have the opportunity to scout him, and he has to defend that title every 2 weeks to the national champions every month.
Well, Greg Hunter, you know, another thing, too, we talk about both these men being in great physical shape. We talk about...
Wait a minute here. Cover, hook of the leg. Only a 1 count after Caprice Coleman lays hands on the national champion.
But, you know, we also talk about both these men holding 2 of the most prestigious titles in the NWA, in the National Wrestling Alliance. But, you know, one of the other common things these men have is time spent over in the Middle East. Phil Shatter, of course, as a former Marine, spending time in the Middle East, and Caprice Coleman spending a few years over in the Middle East, of course, on a civilian mission through, you know, religious means over there and bringing in, you know, much-needed help to war-torn areas of the Middle East.
Abdominal stretch applied to the world's television champion. Driving the elbow into the ribs. Does it twice. You can hear the shouts of pain and agony out of Coleman. Coleman, though, that flexibility, that ingenuity out of Coleman, able to twist his body and drive a knee to the skull of the national champion.
Well, and that, you know, that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to stay right on the national champion. We have seen Shatter time and time again. We've seen this. You got to remember, this is the man, he was the only man to ever make Iceberg submit. He was the first man to pin Iceberg here in NWA Anarchy. He won the Anarchy Heavyweight Championship less than a year after starting here. So we know what this man's all about.
Oh, German suplex with the bridge. 1, 2, and only a 2 count. And both of these men in this contest, though they know each other well, they have faced each other numerous times, not only here in the Church of Southern Wrestling, here, the NWA Arena, but all across the Southeast. Caprice Coleman has received opportunities at that national title in other venues. But what these 2 men are in a very unique position of tonight is that they are simultaneously champion and challenger. They have to realize that the championship advantage of the disqualification or the countout in this instance works both ways. You keep your title, you don't lose the other guys. The time limit works both ways. Both men working against the clock need the pinfall or the submission if they want to walk out of here carrying an extra championship belt home.
And right there, I mean, you know, the thing is, you say, who wants it more? Who needs it more? I'm going to tell you right now, I know Caprice Coleman wants to be the national heavyweight champion, but I think Shatter needs this more. It's not that he wants it more, it's he needs it more.
Oh, flying cross body 3/4 of the way across the ring, and only a 2 count.
And Greg Hunter, when I say he needs it more, you got to realize exactly how close this man was to becoming the NWA World Heavyweight Champion just 2 months ago. Him and Adam Pearce had eliminated Blue Demon Jr., the former NWA World Champion, right here, 2 count by Caprice Coleman. It came down to Shatter and Adam Pearce. And Shatter, many had believed that the man had won the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. A referee's reversal could make the match continue, and it was Adam Pearce that walked out with that championship.
Caprice Coleman charged in, looking for a drop kick, got nothing. Boot to the midsection, and now the national champion, suplex, slingshot. shades of a man who's held both the national and world television titles, Tully Blanchard. That slingshot suplex cover, 2, and only a 2 count.
Greg Hunter, that slingshot suplex, like you said, was a main weapon in the arsenal of Tully Blanchard, and a weapon that he used to win, like you said, both those championships, the World Television Championship and the National Championship.
Cover, a hook of the leg, and only 2, says referee Brent Wiley. This is the 3rd of our championship matches this evening. The Anarchy heavyweight title match still to come.
We've got to be rapidly approaching that 15-minute mark for the World Television title.
Right now, Phil Shatter, the national champion, taking the fight, working at a faster pace. I think he knows just as well that that title, that time limit right now is against him. That head slam out of Caprice Coleman, the baptismo, he calls it. Cover, slowly, hook of the leg, 2, and only a 2 count.
Caprice Coleman trying to get this crowd to get behind him. The NWA arena comes alive. I mean, they realize that you could see history made right here. I mean, you know, a dual champion here in the NWA arena. I mean, that would set records everywhere, Greg Hunter.
Right now, Shatter could be on the receiving end of that's life. He counters, setting up PTSD. Coleman counters. Coleman grabs the ankle. Coleman now with an ankle lock applied to the national heavyweight champion, Caprice Coleman. When these two men last met in this building, it was the high-flying athletics of Caprice Coleman that cost him. He went to the well once too often and Shatter capitalized. Caprice Coleman here tonight has changed that strategy so drastically, and the national champion is off balance. You can see it.
And right now you see Jeff G. Bailey has to be a little bit worried here, you know, of what he's gotten his champion into. Because, I mean, you know, a war like this, I mean, this takes a lot out on a human body.
Kick from the national champion, puts the world television champion down. The Church of Southern Wrestling, the chant of ice coming up from the NWA arena as we have a near capacity crowd here for the 14th annual Hardcore Hell.
And what a treat it's been for them. The Anarchy Heavyweight Championship still to come.
Oh, beautiful counter. Coleman countering the spear. And wait just a second. And Seth DeLay just ran out here with a pair of brass knucks. What
Wait a minute.
What in the world?
Seth DeLay called himself the king of the airwaves.
Brent Wiley has disqualified Phil Shatter. So therefore, your winner and still the NWA World's Television Champion, Caprice Ice Coleman.
Now, of course, with this being a disqualification, Phil Shatter will retain the national heavyweight title. Not the way that anybody wanted to see this end. Seth DeLay, you're absolutely right. He came out here earlier, called himself the king of the airwaves. I guess you're going to be the king of the airwaves. Then that means you're looking for that television title. Good grief. More Hardcore Hell in moments.